Hello and welcome to the Naked Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Emerald Murade, and I'm so glad you're here. This space is devoted to real, raw, and radically honest conversations with some of the most magnetic, diverse, and wonderful humans I've had the honor of crossing paths with. From mystics to makers, teachers to truth seekers, this is a home for anyone craving depth, connection, and clarity. At the heart of this podcast is a mission to unshame the human experience. We're here to dismantle the silence, to bring to light what we've been taught to hide, and to reclaim our voices through storytelling. Whether we're unpacking grief, celebrating joy, exploring sensuality and identity, or getting curious about what it really means to live an authentic and meaningful life, nothing is off limits here. This is a community built through conversation, a place where you get to feel seen, embraced, and reminded that you're never alone. So get cozy, stay open, and let's get naked in the most soul-expanding, liberating way possible. Welcome to Naked Conversations. Hello, dear listener. I am so happy to have you on the Naked Conversations podcast today, tuning in with your attention and your listening ear, and to have you be absorbing the wisdom that is being transmitted through this podcast today. I will say, in editing this podcast, I found myself being blown away by this conversation. There are not very many times where I feel out of my depth in the philosophical realm, but I will say that this conversation challenged me to be keeping up, and I feel really grateful for that opportunity. I do remember in recording this episode, coming away from it feeling like, wow, that was very deep, very profound, and yeah, it definitely stirred up a lot for me in the realm of, truly diving deeper into my soul. I met Jamal at a cafe in Sedona, and as you'll hear from this episode, it was quite a lovely story in the development of this podcast conversation. Meeting him at a cafe, and then briefly having an exchange, and then overhearing a conversation that he was having with a friend of his, and inserting myself into that conversation, and truly feeling like, wow, there is a lot of wisdom to be shared here. And as someone who has navigated the shadows for the last 10 or so years, I truly felt like there was a lot of psychological depth that had to be mined in this conversation, as you will hear through the back and forth that we have. Jamal is a philosopher and such a soul, beautiful energy. And I'm really excited to be presenting this episode to you today, and to hear some feedback around what it stirred for you. And if you're interested in learning more about soul mirroring, the work that Jamal is doing, and really to be in a very deep internal conversation with yourself around what it means to be alive. I also would love to reflect on some of the things that have been moving in my life, and there have been so many changes that I have experienced after being in Sedona and feeling, frankly, a little bit dysregulated since coming home to Vancouver, having sold the majority of my belongings, moving to a new space, and feeling quite ungrounded in many ways. But there has been one thing that I have been leaning into. And it is this process of deeply sitting with what is here and now, and actually verbalizing it to myself, admitting to myself how I am feeling, and listening to the sound of my own voice. So, a little practice that I would encourage folks to do during this time. I'm about to release this episode. It's about to be a new moon, the start of a new lunar year here. And my invitation is that we can sit in silence with what is happening internally and truly learn to discern the emotions that are happening on an internal level for ourselves, and to really turn a keen eye inwards at this time. And the invitation really is to, speak that into existence. I'm feeling tension in my left shoulder. And notice how, if you're able to name it out loud, then you're giving it a sense of witnessing into this wider field of experience rather than just having it be tense in your body. And I know for myself, as someone who tends to ruminate a lot and feel things very intensely and on a very deep level, it can be very difficult to put that into words. And I think coming into this relationship to our own inner life and being able to express it fully to ourselves, for ourselves, not to try to protect ourselves from the emotions that we're feeling, but to be in relationship with them in a very profound way like that, really giving them the space to unfold, is one of the most healing practices I have had in my life. And it's been something that I've been sitting with deeply over the course of the last 3 or so weeks. And with that, I would love to invite you, because I am launching my one-to-one work, my program, Emanate, and I am so incredibly excited to invite those of you who are interested to be in space with me, to be witnessed within a small group setting where we will be going directly to the center of our own hearts, learning to sit with what is here and now, and reframing our paradigm towards our own inner life, and learning to weave with life itself on the external, on the internal, in order to be in relationship with the vitality that is here and now. And I am so incredibly excited, because this is work that I have been doing for my entire life, and it has been reflected in so many beautiful ways within my own life, of learning how to shine my own light unapologetically, and learning to be in resonant truth with the life that is here and now, rather than running from life and feeling stuck in anxiety. So I will be linking the application for this in the show notes. We will be launching in May. And if you would like to get your application in, I would love to read where you're at and the things that you are currently moving with in this lifetime, and the desires that you have to truly shine your own light into this world and truly be at one with all that is, and to feel enlivened by the life that you are living here and now, and to move and shift with the elemental nature of all things, so that you feel deeply connected to your own personal truth, so that you can shine your light more fully. And with that, I would love to introduce this episode. I'm so excited to have you here. And if there is anything that comes up during this episode that you are curious to hear more about, I would love to know. My Instagram is I am Emerant, and yeah, I'm always very responsive to the emails that I get, and just love hearing all of the feedback that you might have on these episodes. And if you're interested in it spurring more conversation and questions, I would love to know as well. And we can definitely get into a conversation around that. Thank you so much. And without further ado, here's the episode. Well, welcome to the Naked Conversations podcast, Jamal. Pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wow. Well, we are coming at you today from a really special location. What would you say this place is? Is this Fay Canyon?
It's near Fay Canyon in the incredible Sedona, Arizona. If you haven't heard, you are missing out. This is honestly, I feel I have mixed feelings even telling people about it, because I low-key want to keep it as one of the best kept secrets of America, frankly. It's an incredible space. It's a magical land. Everyone talks about the vortexes, but when you're here, you understand.
Yeah, it has a very deeply grounding energy. And as somebody who tends to be personally a little bit all over the place and scattered, this has like a very kind of ancestral grandfather feeling to it.
Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of people come here seeking, more esoteric, mystical kinds of things. And a lot of people I've spoken to have actually lived here. It tends to be very grounding term. Like my friend ends up getting really into physiology, more so like more somatic when he was here. Whereas you'd think it'd be super out there, people channeling aliens and all that. That's here too. That is here too. Don't get it twisted.
That was my feeling in coming here. I kind of planned this pilgrimage in alignment with the astrology, actually. And I thought to myself, okay, well, if I go to Sedona, I'm definitely going to see some aliens, and I might come back in a different form.
Oh, yeah. You will come see them. For sure.
Oh, my gosh. Well, welcome to the podcast. It's so wonderful to have you here. I would like you to just introduce yourself and a little bit about like who you are, what you're all about. We met not too long ago, and I don't know, I just seemed to feel like there was a connection in the sense that yeah, when you were speaking, I was like, oh yeah, this guy, he knows. He's a Gnostic. He knows. He knows what's
Yeah.
up.
It all started in the Whole Foods Cafe.
Actually, it started before that. It started before that. As I ordered as a corn chowder. When I ordered a corn chowder.
Yeah, that's where it really started. But yeah, a little bit about me. My name's Jamal Maroon. I'm a philosopher in the classical sense. You know, it comes from the word philo, meaning love, and Sophia, meaning wisdom. So I'm a lover of wisdom, manifest in writing and all different kinds of creative works. And yeah, currently I'm based out here in Sedona, Arizona. And yeah, I just got a new job here, and you know, balancing the creative work with you got to pay the bills. And I was working as a bartender, barista, server, all of the above. And then this lady came in, and I'm reading people's energy the whole day. I'm meeting hundreds of people, and yeah, you just had great energy. And then I saw you came in. You're like, you got Wi-Fi here, and I'm like, no, we don't got Wi-Fi elsewhere. You're like, all right. But then you came back, and then you sat there, and you got the corn chowder, and then you're talking. I was like, okay, she's got good vibes. And then she told me about the trailer and the trip, and I was like, oh, good for her. She's going on her pilgrimage. And then
or my flow trip.
Flow trip. Right. Oh, I'm gonna get to that. But yeah, and then I walked into the Whole Foods 2 days ago with my homie, and then I saw her there, and I'm very shy when I first see people that I just met. I'm like, my initial reaction is, oh shit, it's that person. I'm not gonna talk to them yet, but I might double back. And then yeah, we ended up running into each other. I think, I don't know if you initiated or something, and then we started chatting. I was chatting with my friend, and we just got into a really good conversation. We're like, yo, actually I have a podcast. We're like, actually we have a podcast. We're like, yo, we should do this, that. And it made sense.
And here we are.
Here we are.
And here we are. And the rest is history. Yeah, right. And I am not shy. I am not shy. I don't think I have a shy bone in my body. So I'm pretty sure I was the one that initiated the conversation. Like, oh, I know this guy. He's got a nice smile.
Probably.
Yeah.
You're coming in my teeth.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God, you got braces, right? I'm like, no, it's willpower. That's how we got to straight. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Okay. A modern philosopher. I don't think it's every day that you meet somebody who is a philosopher or who has that as their title. I mean, title. What are titles? We could get into that, but that's a really interesting thing. Yeah.
And then to answer the question of what I'm all about, I think it's summarized by my mantra, which is the revolution is consciousness.
Fuck yes.
So, to me, that has many different meanings, but ultimately I believe that, you know, to create change, true social change comes from awakening our own consciousness, right? There's that famous phrase that you cannot solve a problem at the same level of consciousness that created it.
Correct.
So if we're going to get out of our own way in our personal life, in personal development, and ultimately in our collective development, then it all is rooted in expanding consciousness. So revolution to me isn't about, you know, picking up different firearms and going against the state or going against whatever social enemy we think it is. It's actually about doing inner work and recognizing your own projections of your own shadows onto all different kinds of convenient hooks, recognizing your own tendencies of what I would call your vehicle, like your higher self, lower self. That's a very important aspect of my philosophy, and learning to master the lower self and use its energy to connect yourself more to your higher self, allow it to express itself through. And I'm very, very passionate about relational dynamics, which we're going to get into. I've written and published 3 works. I'm currently writing my 4th book right now. And yeah, it's all around relational dynamics. And there's a lot as to why I felt called towards this direction and why I think it's the direction of the future in terms of where we're headed. But yeah, that's a little bit about what I'm all about.
Thank you for sharing that. There's so many threads that I'd like to pick up on in just that brief introduction. But when you speak to the mastering of the lower self, that's something that I've been ruminating on for quite some time, of how we can use the energies that are within us that are more quote unquote base, and learning how to transmute them into something that is for the good of all humanity, truly. Yeah. So yeah, that's a very interesting thread, and I'm wondering if you could kind of speak to that a little bit more. And I can share some of my philosophy on that as well.
Absolutely. I believe it's the essence of self-mastery. is the recognition that not all of the impulses within us are harmonic.
Mm.
There are many which are disharmonic, both for the cells that in which we are, like the rulers over, so to speak. Like every single cell within our body, if you go out, you start eating all of this high fructose corn syrup and processed foods and you don't take care of your body, then it's like you're the equivalent of a poor ruler of all the cells of your own body,
Mm.
right? So the impulse to just go and eat the hyper palatable foods because it tastes good, that's not a good impulse,
Mm.
Um, whereas the impulse to, even though you might not want to, or aspect of you resist it, going on a hike in nature
Mm.
or doing some kind of form of exercise or breath work, things like this, it requires some willpower. But that to me is just the highlighting like the essence of self-mastery, which is discerning which impulses within us
Mm.
are harmonic and which ones are leading to disharmony within our own cells and then between one another.
Mm.
So that's like how I would view that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I need a moment. I need a moment to just absorb that. Hmm. Do you believe that, in trying to bring a higher consciousness and a higher awareness to these impulses that we have within ourselves, do you believe that there's a way in which we can connect to a deeper truth through those impulses?
Yeah, like there's a wisdom to those kinds of impulses, right? Um, so I'm not about like viewing it in a negative sense, like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I have this animalistic nature that I need to kill within me.
Mm.
And it's not about that. It's about um like my consciousness is being housed in a vehicle
Mm.
that is my body.
Mm.
And I need to learn to work with it.
Mm. Orienting yourself appropriately towards the impulses.
Yeah. And trying to learn from them, like
Mm.
observing them, trying to listen to them. It's like a communication. It's like a dialogue that you
Mm.
have with another person.
Mm.
Um, just not every idea someone gives you is a good idea that you should run with it. Some ideas you should be like, actually, bro, I don't think we should jump off that bridge. I
Yeah.
don't think that's a good idea. So the body, you got to talk to it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it has great ideas
Mm.
where and I think that's another, important aspect of like our relationship with our vehicles. See a lot of this in the realm of psychosomatics. There's a growing awareness on that.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, so I'm not one of these like painting it all negative.
Mm.
Like, oh, like for instance, sexuality is a big topic, right? So
Huge.
it's like anything in the realm of sexual impulse. I'm not one of these like radical, it's all straight up satanic and you have to put, no. It's about, again, listening, um, and to the wisdom of the body.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it also has to do with the masculine feminine polarity because um, the notion of governing is typically more masculine in the sense of like establishing rules,
Mm.
order, etc., which we do within our own life. Like
Mm.
time management is a form of
Absolutely.
a masculine impulse, and then there's a feminine, like the bodies and the unconscious, which is unpredictable in
Mm.
nature. We could say that's more feminine. So I see the wisdom in your reaction of like, well, hold on, are you kind of advocating for like pushing
Mm.
down?
Mm.
That I'm like, no,
Mm.
I'm about dialogue. You know.
You had said that the revolution is in consciousness, and I really do believe that we have to move away from this ideology of masculine, feminine polarity and to kind of meet in the middle at this kind of dance between the two of them, where a third kind of form is manifest,
Mm-hmm.
wherein there's this quote by Rumi, I'm sure you know it. It's beyond the field of right doing and wrong doing. There's a field and I'll meet you there.
Oh yeah.
And it's
beautiful.
coming back to a truth that is beyond the identification with form and matter and masculine feminine polarity.
Yeah.
Rather than attaching yourself too much to one impulse or way of being or doing something, like to have a dialogue with it and to be in a relationship with it, I really do believe that is the way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I think there's a reality that, to me, like understanding masculine and feminine polarities just has to do with the principle of exchange. And when you look at the entire universe, there's all these infinite amounts of exchanges taking place. Whether you're looking at the biological world and you look at the water cycle, the carbon cycle, the nitrogen cycle, you look at all the different plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, minerals, how they're all working together. There's all these infinite exchanges taking place between humans. And what we'd call economics is the study of exchanges that take place within us. And there's always a giver, a receiver, and then it's reciprocated, etc. So I think to me, when I speak to the terms masculine and feminine, they're very charged terms because people usually associate masculine solely with male attributes and the feminine solely as female attributes. I think to me, it's more about exploring it as principles that transcend its solely anthropological expression just through, the human sense. And there's obviously a enormous amount of intersexual tension and all kinds of ideological warfare going on. So I agree with you with the intent to rise above those and find union. I think that's part of the truth as well. I think the truth is a uniting force. It brings things together. So if it's creating dissonance between, if it's not creating a dance that's playful between the masculine and feminine, then I don't think it's truthful. That's one way. On a metaphysical way, some of y'all are like, I don't get this.
I'm
Some
on the
people
same
follow
page.
and they're like, I like this guy.
Turn off
Others
this
like,
fucking
bro.
podcast. What the hell is going on here? Oh my gosh. No, continue. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No, I mean that's I think your question was like, yeah, like the notion of uniting masculine and feminine. So which hence gets back to the relational dynamics.
It's coming into like a more transcending transaction is really what it is, I think, in terms of our like human capacity. I think for so long we've been in this kind of transactional relationship with our bodies, with ourselves, with the notion of who we need to be in order to be loved, for example, becomes like a very transactional relationship of if X, then Y, like having this kind of this dynamic rather than, oh, I'm going to be present with whatever is here and now and actually see what unfolds as a result of that. I think that that's a real shift in consciousness as well, approaching life and relationships in reciprocity rather than in transaction.
Yeah, and it's very difficult for us to make this this leap into a more reciprocal kind of dynamic because of how much we're ingrained in Western philosophy and how much it's shaped our thinking. That's a very big topic I'm very passionate and I write a lot about, kind of trying to unpack how did we get here?
Yeah.
In terms of thinking and the way in which we do. I think that materialism, scientism, individualism has reached its peak of
There's
insanity.
complete and total insanity.
And I think you witness that there is like a more and more questioning of modernity. It's like, what is this so-called progress that we're being sold? Because I feel that a simple life in harmony with nature is increasingly out of reach. I feel this endless hamster wheel hustle it's like I have to hustle 70 hours a week just for basic amenities. Like, what am I doing? So you see a return to indigenous ancient wisdom. You see people increasingly disenchanted with the kind of worldview that we were sold. And yeah, hyperlogical world that sucks out the romance of life. And I think more and more people are tired of it. But yeah, definitely manifest in a highly transactional, relational, dynamics that we live in today, where it's like it becomes commerce. It's
Absolutely.
It's commerce. I have this, you have this.
What are we going to do?
But there is a reality of exchange. And there's a reality of having different criteria.
But it doesn't necessarily need to always be so tangible.
Yeah, that's the hard thing, is it kind of gets to that whole philosophical quandary of qualia versus quantia. Like that which can be counted and measured versus that which is beyond measurement. Or the Greek called it logos, like the logic, versus the eros. And I think we live in a logos-dominated worldview which suppresses the eros.
Mhm.
And that's why things feel so heartless. That's why people are so disconnected from their
Mhm.
own heart.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, returning to love is learning how to love wisely. To me, is like the definition of mastery as well.
Mm.
I believe that truth is the union of love and wisdom.
I would agree. I mean, that's a very Kabbalistic kind of concept as well, right? I don't
Yep.
know if you're familiar at all with Kabbalah, but it's the union of Hesed and Gevura, which is judgment and compassion,
Yep.
and in the middle, beauty lies, and that's the heart of it
Yep.
all,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So it's
No.
a balancing act, and coming back to this, middle way of being, of relationship, of relating and connecting to what is here and now within us, and understanding our impulses, which you so eloquently spoke to, and the way that we relate to those impulses in a middle way with a higher kind of awareness.
Yeah.
But that's a whole journey, right?
Hmm.
That's a whole hero's journey.
Absolutely. And everyone has their own individual arc
Mm.
and pace of development. And yeah, but I'm grateful to see more and more people that are willing to speak into those dynamics like yourself.
Mm.
Um,
You know,
and
something that's really, kind of top of mind, and something that I've really been reconciling within myself, is that, we have all of these stories, and we have all of these narratives of, how we were raised, and the way that, we have these judgments, of other people or of ourselves. And it's the idea that, like, maybe no one was right, no one was wrong. It was just the awareness that they had at that time. And coming to the wounds, and coming to the narratives that we might have within ourselves, with a sense of compassion
mhm.
of people, like the people that raised us, for example. Maybe they didn't know better.
Yeah, I think
The
that's
society didn't know better. Like they knew no better than to, absorb the narrative that was given to them,
yeah. No, it's interesting. I know,
in our own selves as well. Like, sometimes we just don't know any better.
yeah, it's very true. I think that's you're giving out a powerful key to compassion and empathy, and also highlighting narrative is very interesting. I know you mentioned listening to the audiobook The Power of Myth,
Mm-hmm.
Joseph
Oh
Campbell,
yeah.
and that's essential to the Jungian canon of work, which I would consider myself well versed in. Um, the notion of it's like, what myth are you living?
Mm.
Because you're living
Mm.
a myth.
You're living a
You're
story.
you are humans are narrative based creatures,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even you could break down the word universe, and it's like the one verse, the
One
story.
verse. I love that you just said that. I say that with my girlfriend Sarah
Yeah,
all the time. Yeah, one verse, Yoni verse, the
yeah,
Yoni verse.
you could put it that way. But
But yeah, true. One verse,
um,
one line, one truth.
and yeah, you go back to all the different sacred texts of the world, whether it's the Bhagavad Gita, whether it's the Bible. These are narrative based stories.
Mhm.
We watch movies like Star Wars and things like this. These are all narrative based. When you ask a child, like, "Oh, what happened today?" They tell you a story. Like, we
Mhm.
are narrative based creatures, and I think a big part of inner work and healing has to do with uncovering the narratives we tell about ourselves
To ourselves.
to ourselves repetitively every single day,
Mhm.
but without our awareness. That's where the consciousness comes in, because then you start to pick up, I keep telling the same story about how my father did me wrong
Mm.
when I was young. Is it true?
Mm.
Is it really true?
Right?
And sometimes we need uh, to go through suffering in our lives
Mm.
for that to surface,
Mm.
so that we can start to re-examine those narratives and be like, how truthful is that? And I think you just gave a huge key, which is, yeah, think question, like the instinct when we kind of run into a dead end is to assume fault on the other person
Mhm.
and give up. Like, this person did me wrong in a terrible way.
Yeah. How
They're an
could
awful
they?
person.
Mhm.
And it's like, when you dig deeper, it's like, well, actually, they were doing the best that they could from the information and all
Mhm.
that. And then you can kind of drop that narrative and then get closer to a more truthful one.
Mhm. That's been so instrumental in my own kind of personal development journey. My therapist gave me this one exercise of write the story of your life, and just do it from like don't do it in flowery language. Just write,
Mm,
from your birth to now, and how things made you feel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and read that to yourself over and over again, 3 times a day out loud, so that you're listening to the story and you can find a space between yourself and the story.
That's
And that's
amazing.
where truth lies.
That's a great exercise. I love that.
It was transformational.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
She
That's
knows
a really
whoever your therapist was.
Oh yeah,
knows
she's
what they're
great.
doing.
She's great. I'll give you her number if you want.
Yeah.
You'd have some great conversations, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
But I'm curious
That's
if
good therapy. Anyway, I'm just thinking
yeah.
because I get pissed off with a lot of modern psychotherapy. I don't think it's. I think they're doing a suit. They're like priests.
Rather than
And
coming
they
back to
can
the
be
connection.
good. They could
right?
be good priests if they have a spiritual connection. If they put that primary within their work, but the vast majority don't. They put pills there.
Yeah.
Instead, they're drug dealers. But.
Oh my goodness. I would love for you to discuss a little bit or, share a little bit more about soul mirroring.
Oh yeah. Sure. So yeah, so essentially what soul mirroring is, I'll get into like a bit of how I discovered it and why I think it's so important and powerful. Soul mirroring is a relational practice where we focus on the qualities that touch our heart about another person. And we reflect it to their awareness. So for instance,
I'm going to cry. That's so sweet.
So for instance, to mirror you right now, Emran, I would say that some of the qualities that really touch my heart about you is you have this very strong, there's like a curiosity that you have that is it feels like it brings life. Like a river, when a river flows into an area, suddenly there's trees and there's flowers and there's birds, etc. You have a certain kind of curiosity that like is very enlivening. So I really love that quality in you. I also love that you have like there's a playfulness that you have. There's like a childlike, not childlike as in childish, childlike as in like your inner child's alive and vibrant, playfulness with life that does not feel like it's from a place of naivety at all. It's like from a place of wisdom. So it's very rare to find that kind of playful quality that behind it you sense she went through a lot of shit to get there. It's not like, ooh, la 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 la. Like, it's no. It's like I had to go through a lot of shit to be able to play like this. Don't play with me.
Oh, wow.
So I could keep going on and on, but that's the point. That's soul mirroring, right? So you feel that. You feel like, oh my God, like, you tell me how you feel.
I feel seen.
Yeah.
I feel seen. That's really special. I didn't know what to expect, but I love that.
Yeah.
And I would definitely, I would say that it's very true. This enlivening quality, I think that I've always brought that to the relationships that I have and to just being very deeply curious about another person and knowing that they are a reflection of the divine and wanting to experience that. Yeah. With another person. Just that it's a very deep knowing within myself of what does this person have to teach me about the human experience? Because I only know from my lens. Right. And I'm not right or wrong. Right. So all I have to do here is learn. Right. So I'm glad you mentioned all of that because that really embodies the philosophy of the soul mirroring. Because it's about not just saying in theory that people are reflections of the divine, but actually practicing seeing the divine in the other person. So it's like a muscle that you have to continuously develop because the instinct is you get pissed off at someone and you see everything but the divine in that person. Right. And that's a very interesting thing. And I'd like to kind of loop that back around. I think that if we have some sort of unmet need at the very root of ourselves, that's when the judgment comes. That's when the judgment might not be the right word.
One way I could
it's
say is the inability to see the light in the other person.
because you're feeling obscured within yourself, because you
Yeah.
haven't fully met whatever that energy is within yourself. You're projecting it onto another person because they're not acting in a way that's going to satiate an unmet need within you.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that kind of relates back to soul mirroring at all.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, because the way that we approach this, because this is what I'm describing as what we would call the level 1 mirroring, which is you just start by focusing on the light. It's all about, we start with the light.
I think I could do that very easily.
Yeah, no, that's the thing with the mirroring, which is so amazing, is people are already mirroring all the time. It's like when you say like you appreciate something about someone else, the thing is we go beyond just, oh, I like your shoes. We go to the level of the soul. That's why it's called soul mirroring. So that would be what we would call the level 1. And typically the best kind of container environment for that is smaller groups. You can apply it in any setting, but typically groups of 3 to 4 people. And how I would do my workshops earlier on was in these smaller groups, one person has the opportunity to share. And it can be, usually it's what just happened in their past week. So they're just talking and like, oh, I did this and then I did that. And then this crazy thing happens. And as they're talking, you're not focused on the content of what they're saying. You're focused on the qualities that touch your heart. And after they share, the other people listening will then reflect those qualities. And what's so amazing is that you're just like bombarded with light. It's like a light laser from multiple directions where people are like, they'll highlight this and then they'll highlight that. And then it's like, you're just destroyed by love. Whether you like it or not, you're destroyed. It's over. There's no hiding.
There's no hiding.
There's no hiding.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Oh, that's a really beautiful practice. And I think that you're listening with feeling.
Yeah,
rather than listening with your mind, which I think we can so easily get caught up in.
Yeah, I think a lot of therapeutic spaces, quote unquote, when the person's speaking, they're trying to solve the other person.
Right.
And then it's just purely intellect based. We're like,
transaction.
Yeah,
Ultimate.
again, it's still in that mindset. So this is about the union of the heart and the mind, because it starts with the heart and noticing what you feel towards the other person. But it's not just like, oh, well, let's just mindlessly melt and just, chant chakra or mantras or whatever. Chakra, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. That's you lose your language. You just like, oh, let's just all
you become part of the
kumbaya and all that. Okay, that's cool. But no, we're also learning to articulate the feelings that we notice in the other person. So it's not just the heart or the intellect, it's both. Which is part of what makes it both challenging and fun. So that's usually how we start. And already a lot of people really, really need that. And I didn't realize how much I needed that until I experienced it. And I realized just how much of my life I've existed in what we could call anti-mirroring spaces. Spaces where I never had anyone looking at me with eyes of love, actually trying to appreciate who I am. And it made me realize, like, damn. That's what I've lived in. That's what I accepted as normal for my entire life. So after that, it was like one of the biggest kind of, people talk about the red pill. Like that was the ultimate red pill for me, because I was like, I no longer, I need to create more spaces like that.
Well,
because they don't exist, so much.
I really believe that that's like being beholden in the eyes of the creator. Right? Like that's the whole experience of like, oh, I'm held, I'm here, I'm seen, I'm loved, I'm appreciated, I'm at one.
Yeah.
With love. That sounds like the experience that you had.
Yeah.
And I think that's so incredibly, so incredibly needed in this world.
Absolutely. And so as you can imagine, after I experienced something like that, and I went deep in my mystical journey. I mean, you name the modality, I tried it, meditation, yoga, breath work. I did an ayahuasca. I don't want to get into all of that.
We don't have to. I mean, I'm sure we could, but yeah, let's not.
I was really seeking truth from many different angles and all of that. And when I experienced this, I was like, this is going to change the world. Like, this is going to create a revolution. And I don't know how to explain it to people. I was like, how trying to figure out. I'm like, it's like a relational art. It's like a practice, and you try to, and people are like, that's cool. All right, see you later. And I'm like, don't you get it? Like, bro, this is it. Like, what you mean? And yes, I really committed to trying to study, understand this. Oh yeah, for context, I encountered this while I was traveling in Mexico in a town called San Cristobal de las Casas in Chiapas. It's a very beautiful town. And yeah, when I was there, I was running a restaurant, and I started entering to the red financially. And I met my partner at the time, and she said she had a mentor, and I was very skeptical. I didn't trust anyone. I'm like I don't trust anybody. I got big trust issue.
I know that feeling very well. I know that feeling.
Like, yeah, mentor. Psh, yeah, right. And then I met him, and just instantly we had a connection. Just instantly, where it was like, it's hard to explain. The student teacher dynamic is very interesting. The same way you just find someone that you deeply fall in love with, and you can't really quite explain it. I felt like I really wanted to learn from this man. He introduced me to the soul mirroring, and I engaged in, it's called the Iriswa Institute, is where I learned from for over 3 years now. And then, eventually, I had a lot of people in the process of mirroring. Another reason why it's so powerful is you rapidly accelerate your acquisition of self-knowledge. Meaning I started to gain clarity on what my gifts actually were versus what I thought they were. I had so many people highlight my philosophical abilities, my abilities to articulate very complex things, make them simple and understandable. And I started to realize, also working with our personality model called the 3 human energies, that out of the types, I was the strongest in philosopher. So that was like, it was a big epiphany. And I knew I wanted to share this with the world. I knew I wanted to write about it, but I didn't feel like qualified. I'm like, who are you, bro? You're 20, 21. You don't know shit yet. You got a lot of wisdom within you, but like, be patient. Not yet. You got to practice this. You got to do a million workshops, and then you're ready. And then I just had a very, very powerful inner experience when I was like December 26th, 2023? Yeah, something about right. Yeah. And then I just felt like Spirit was speaking to me. It's like, you got to write that book. I'm like, what do you mean? You're like, yeah, you got to write the book on the mirror. And I'm like, now? And it's like, yeah, right now, bro. What are you waiting for?
Right now.
Like,
right,
yeah, literally,
now.
No pun intended. And I was like, okay, I guess I will. And I sat down and I wrote the book in 19 days. I just was on I don't even feel like I was writing it. I feel like it was writing through me. I know artists say that all the time, but I genuinely experienced that. And I'd never really written before. It just, I'd read a lot relatively, and then I just started writing, and then I published it within 2 months. And then that was the beginning of my writing career. And then I'm still in the process of writing. I learned that that's one of my like fundamental creative practices. I thought it was music. I'm a rapper. I love to rap. So I was like, my whole life, I was like, I'm about to be.
It could be a fusion.
Right. Well, it clicked then, because I realized all the thousands of hours that I put into rapping. When you're writing in that manner, you are limited by the rhyme schemes that you're using. So I was trying to communicate deep truths using, like double entendres and triplets and slant rhymes and all this fancy rhyming terminology. And then it was like, when I was writing without that, I was like, oh,
there are no rules.
This is easy. This is so easy compared to that. I guess I was writing since I was young. I didn't realize it.
That is so fascinating too. That's something that I've been ruminating on recently, of, how we can be so close to something. For example, being a rapper. But then realizing the method of expression is actually writing rather than rapping. But how refined you have to get in your own awareness in order to recognize the difference between the two.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because so many people could have been on that path of rapping for forever and it never really taking off. But just one little fine tweak, and then everything starts to happen.
And that's the
Fascinating.
thing. That's so well said. I've also thought about that a lot, but I never put it in those words like that. That's great.
But I had only had that as a thought. I never actually articulated it until this very moment.
Boom.
But here we are.
That's a good one. But yeah, and I really attribute that to the soul mirroring. Like the soul mirroring was that catalyst where I was like, I'd already done so much inner work. I already had gone so far. And felt like I reached a bit of a plateau of like, where else is there to go? Like, I'm not about to do 100 cold plunges. Like, that's not going to change anything. Like, you can only do so much. Yeah, so I think a lot of people are reaching that similar point, like in their development. And I really believe that soul mirroring is that tipping point to like really step into their calling. Where it's like they think they're on it.
Right.
It's like they might be a psychotherapist and like, I know my calling is helping people in this way. It's like, almost.
It's so close.
It's the certainty you have that it's that's also getting in your way. And what's missing is relational feedback.
Oh.
And that's what the soul mirroring. So that's why we start with level 1. The next level is, we could say, our approach to shadow work, which is we start with the light and really strengthening our awareness of our own gifts, of our soul qualities that we're endowed with, that make us who we are. Then from that foundation, recognize the necessary limitations that come with that. So, for instance, what's up?
I just saw something in the distance. It's okay.
Thought,
maybe I'm just hallucinating.
No.
It's Sedona. It's Sedona, after all. Maybe it was an alien.
My dreams are crazy.
Same.
But anyway,
level 2.
But yeah, so for instance, and this becomes very apparent and easy to work with the personality model that we work with. So, to simply break that down, it's called the 3 human energies. The idea is that we have 3 primary forms of expression through our intellect, so our ability to think, our heart, our ability to feel, and then our will, our ability to do things.
That makes a lot of sense to me. Yep.
So the idea is we have all 3, but we differ in relative proportions of them. And then based on the proportions of those 3, there's 6 main types. So the 2 reflection dominant ones is the philosopher and the scientist. The 2 perception dominant is the helper and the artist. And then the 2 action dominant is the manager and the leader. Okay. So again, all 6 of these, the idea is we have them all 6, but in different proportions. So what was really fun with working with this is it's not like, oh, based on your birth information, this is what you are, fixed in time forever. It's, what do you think you are? What are you stronger in? Here's what the archetypal energies are. You form your own relationship with it. Like at first, I thought I was a scientist. I was like, I think I'm a scientist. And I tried to play out, like, it's like role playing that identity.
Completely. And it's the narrative that you've been telling yourself.
Yeah. And then it's a way to play out different identities. And I played out the scientist identity, and then I realized, like, no, I'm very artistic, and I like to look at things from a big view. Scientists like the micro. They like to be very precise. They care about mental safety a lot and discernment. I'm more on I don't care if I hurt people's feelings. I'm trying to say the big thing. If it'd be like, well, what about the detail? I don't care about the details. I'm trying to tell. That's my style. So I'm like, okay, no, I'm not a scientist. That's not my strong suit. And then also explain my feudal debates in the academic world and why I don't like a lot of them. So like, no, I'm a philosopher, 100%. But anyway, I mentioned that because the opposing type of the philosopher is the manager. So we could say the manager is very linked to caretaking, to practical needs. The word practical is very, so
I feel that too.
So how are you paying your bills? How are you taking care of your family? Like, your immediate environment. They're more protective of like how systems already are.
Rather than seeing them from
trying to change the whole world. It's like, what are you trying to change, bro? Like, feed your family first. It's more
much more concerned with like the practical,
the
practicalities rather than the change.
If we were to link it to the chakra system,
that's exactly what I was
linked to the root. Philosopher is more third eye.
Well, I mean, as you were speaking to that, I just thought of like your third eye, your heart, and your solar plexus.
Yeah.
And your throat has to do with like how you exert your will, which is your expression. Then your crown can theoretically be part of it as well. Anyway, that's exactly where my mind went when you were speaking to these. Yeah, so that's really interesting.
There is a correspondence between the 6 types and the chakras. There's also a correspondence between the 6 signs.
That's what it was.
What, that bird there?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I heard like a horse. Like a horse galloping.
We're hearing things out here. Well, it's almost a full moon, so I'm not surprised.
True. That moon was. There was a moon halo.
I saw that.
See on my story?
No, I was out. I was out there. I was out there. What was that?
Crazy. I've only seen that a handful of times in my life. That was insane.
Powerful. Very powerful.
The
6. We were talking about the chakras
also,
and the
there's also a correspondence between the 6 types and the 6 astrological axes.
Ooh.
But that's for the sequel
to this podcast.
No, not for this podcast. It's for the sequel of my second book was through the 3 human energies. So that was on the whole personality model. That's my magnum opus. I'm very proud of that. It's a big book. It's 312 pages. I spent like 2 years of my life writing it, like every single day, nonstop. I gave absolutely everything. And then after I completed, I'm like, all right, I can die now. Like I could get shot right now. I'm like, all right, there's my work. But then
but there's more.
Yeah.
But there's more.
The sequel to it is going to be on the astrology, but I'm not a master of astrology yet. That's the
maybe
goal.
You have been in many lives. You have been.
There's a lot of remembering. There's a lot of remembering to do.
A lot of remembering. Yes. Oh, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, that's a very Pisces thing to say. Actually,
yeah, we're trying to head home at this point. Bro, we've already been through that 11.
Wait, how many more times do I have to live this fucking life? So interesting. I recently had a DMT journey, and it was hosted by one of my very good friends. It was my absolute favorite.
Wow.
I don't know if you've ever experienced that. I mean, you'd mentioned ayahuasca, sitting with ayahuasca, but it's a very different experience when you're having a vape form of DMT. I felt like I just was in the cosmic soup, and I'm like, I feel at home here. This is so much more comfortable.
Well, that's what us Pisceans live like. We're like that feeling.
That's it. And
it's like, bruh, we're in duality still. How long are we gonna be? This shit is so slow.
Where's the truth? Give me the fucking truth beneath it, please. The Tao, the middle way.
That's people like talking about longevity. I'm like, longevity, like I'm trying to head back.
Oh my goodness, I don't know how we got onto that topic, but wow. Where do we go?
But I was talking about like how I gave everything in my second book, and I said I could die.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mentioned that because, like, for instance, as a philosopher, I recognized in terms of manager type thing, and I grew up in a family of very strong managers. So, like, that was seeing things through that axis opened up so much healing, because now I no longer viewed my family conflicts through the same narratives that I had before. Oh my God, they're not my family. They don't understand me. They don't, no. All of this. They're so programmed, etc. And I was doing anti-mirroring to them. And then I was wondering why they were doing anti-mirroring to me. I was like, well, yeah, because you're doing it too, fam. Like, that's how this all works.
That's how this all works. Welcome to the world.
I had to go through a crazy initiation for the past 3 years of living with my family and healing those dynamics and healing the relationship with the world and all that. And, it's like Ram Dass. He says something like, if you think you're spiritual, go live with your family for a week. So I did that for 3 years. That shit was tough. But point being is that I now had the tools to heal those, because when I was engaging with my family, I recognized that they're exceptionally strong in the opposing type and energy. So when I had all of these relational conflicts, which I would typically tap out and be like, look at these, they're programmed by the matrix and all of this, and tap out of the emotional work because I didn't have the tools or capacity to do it. Now, when those triggers would come, I would see that, well, that's a reflection of my own lack of integration of my own manager. And it made me realize just how impractical and idealistic I was. Like how necessarily my gifts of being so oriented to see the bigger picture and you know, be more philosophical and all of that, that necessarily that means like I was slacking on my laundry. I was not anything to do with the world and integrating. Anytime someone be like, hey, have you considered this profession? I'd get like so triggered. I'm like, F off. Don't tell me what to do with my work or my life. Like I would get so all the time.
Protective, yeah.
Super protective and all that. But I think so that's part of level 2 mirroring, is realizing the necessary weaknesses, tendencies that come with the strengths, starting with yourself, but then also in other people. So like I know, for instance, leader type people, like you met my other co-host, Ben, briefly. He's very strong on what I'd say leader. So leaders tend to really not get along with helpers, because helpers are very much oriented towards compassion and connecting with people heart to heart, being understanding, inclusive. Leaders very much are about pushing forward. They're about courage, having this to say what other people won't say, to push the boundary forward, even if other people don't understand. So leaders usually have a lot of trauma in relationship to helpers. Helpers usually have a lot of trauma in relationship to leaders.
Oh, so there's always kind of like this dualistic pairing, that's this dance.
Yeah, and it ties to the masculine and feminine as well.
Loop right back.
You can start to see why I'm obsessed with this model.
Yeah. I mean, it goes very deep.
There's a lot of it's the most powerful tool I've ever encountered for inner work that I've seen, and I'm very open to many tools. You know, a lot of people love human design. A lot of people can get a lot out of astrology, etc. But I think the thing with soul mirroring and 3 human energies as well that we can start to wrap up with is that it's not just about self-knowledge and personal development. It's about what we could call group synergy. Because one of the biggest challenges that I realized during my travels in Mexico, part of my core intent in going there was like, my mission statement was like, I'm escaping the matrix.
Right.
I went through so much pain during COVID. I got kicked out of my university because I didn't get the you-know-what. And I'm not going to get into all the details of that, but I was like, all right, I'm done with this matrix. I'm about to escape. I'm going to figure out how to be on the land and be in an intentional community by any means necessary. And I literally went all in on that. And I actually ended up like on the countryside, like living on the land with different kinds of people, and I experienced it. And what was very disappointing, and I left very jaded with the spiritual community in general, was like people talk about, oh, all is one, you know, Om Shanti, all this shit. And then when it comes to how they treat each other like toddlers, and they throw these little tantrums, and they project like craziness. Like,
we don't need to go there, but absolutely, I think a lot of people are waking up to the illusion of the spiritual community as well.
Yeah,
it's just such a joke.
So part of me realized it's like the intentional community is like my fantasy and desire for that can never come into reality if we don't first learn just basic communication. If we don't know how to communicate, if we don't know how to relate to one another in a way in which that we can like preserve our one another's spiritual connection and well-being, then like none of this is going to work. And the same thing applies to businesses, because as an entrepreneur, I really believe that, you know, creating forward-thinking organizations is what really changes the world. There's only so much we can do as individuals, and organizations are groups of humans working together. So yeah, with the soul mirroring and the personality and relational dynamics, part of my passion for all that is not just on the self-knowledge front, but on the group synergy aspect.
It's a collective, really, is what you're speaking to, right?
Yeah, that dimension.
That's really what this all is about. How can we work together? How can we bring our unique talents and gifts and emanation of spirit into relationship, is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, and That's why it starts.
from a very integrated, like coming from a very integrated place in ourselves, not just constantly projecting all over the place. It's like, how can we understand ourselves to a very deep and core level?
Yeah, and that's where
Not to say that you're not going to get triggered, because that's just part of life,
yeah, it's
but
part of life.
understanding at the very root what it is that our, core wounds or whatever it is are,
Yeah.
and learning to work with the energy that's beneath it. That's really very much sounds like what this method is.
Yeah, but it's going even beyond wounds. Another phrase I say is we are more than we're wounds.
Mhm.
We're more than our wounds. I think there's a little bit too much fixation on wounds, wounds. Yeah, we have wounds, but we're also are we not products of the divine? Are we
Absolutely.
not first and foremost light? So why are we spending all this time and energy focused exclusively on the dark?
Fair.
So I think the soul mirroring, the part of what separates it as well from other different psychotherapeutic modalities is instead of going into your first 0 to 7 and uncovering all this trauma and all of that, we start with light. What's the light present in you right now that I sense? And I
Yeah.
gave a little bit of reflection of that. And I think that I find it hard to see, like, in terms of like building conscious communities, in terms of productive inner work, a better place to start than starting with the light.
That's a very beautiful thing. I mean, there's one question that I have for you, because I do believe that a lot of the time people are constantly just trying to. This has just been my experience, but I think a lot of people might just be so unaware of how they're presenting themselves just based on like their own protections. So
Yeah.
how do we even go a level, like peel back a layer deeper? Because when you're meeting somebody for the first time, a lot of the time they're putting on a mask, right? Like they're just presenting
Yeah,
themselves in a way.
personas.
They're
Young is talk about this
of course.
specifically.
So that's my question, in terms of like the persona that a person is, presenting. How do you even go deeper than the persona when the person isn't even necessarily aware that they have a persona?
Yeah, well, I think
That's a question.
yeah, that's an excellent question. That's another reason why I love the soul mirroring, actually, is because it's the most powerful practice I found for breaking through that in the shortest amount of time. But definitely a big part of that is the right environment and container. So it's like if you're going to get some espresso shot and you go to the cafe and you see the barista, and it's like that interaction. Of course, you have a persona. Like there's a reason that we were designed. Our psyches have a persona. There's a reason for socially and etc. So I think one of the challenges is first creating spaces where people can drop those defenses. Um, Part of that has to do with nervous system safety as well, like an environment that's actually good for that. So much of our environments are just ridiculously chaotic. And then, yeah, you can, from there, giving people opportunity to actually share.
And I think that there's also this kind of element of a desire to even go there within yourself.
Yeah,
right?
if you're not willing to go there within yourself, then no
Good
amount of
luck.
environmental change is gonna change that,
Yeah.
because it starts with you. But there's more and more. That's the thing, is it's like you're not trying to necessarily get every single, human being on the face of the earth to do soul mirroring at this very moment. It's like, no, it's just
it's a ripple effect once I think enough people, like when it hits the in the Celestine
the
prophecy, when
critical
it
mass.
critical mass,
Yeah.
you know the book, the critical mass.
Yeah. So I think
Anyhow.
I'm very excited about it. I honestly um felt a little bit jaded. Well, I already used the word jaded. I'd say more like exhausted of giving my absolute all and feeling such a little reward after many years. So I was like, all right, I guess it's a timing thing for people to feel the value of this more. And I saw this podcast. I heard you mention in our brief exchange at the Whole Foods Cafe, you said something like about how, yeah, we're relational, like that's who we are. And I was like, well, yeah, that's actually in my first book. That's the whole thesis of it. As I defined human beings, I said to be human is to be in relation to other self-conscious beings. That is what it means to be human. So that was the whole thing.
I mean, to be in relationship to to go even deeper, to be in relationship to consciousness itself.
Yeah, but specifically the human experience is around self-consciousness too, because it's like the consciousness, right, is the fabric of the universe. We could say it's like the prima materia of life. But different, at least there's different esoteric schools of thought on it. But the one I come from, we would talk about different levels of consciousness for the different kingdoms and how they correspond to the human. So you talk about like the mineral kingdom, which corresponds to unconsciousness, or what, Jung termed as the collective unconscious.
Well,
Uh,
when we can really start, oh goodness,
There's
oh
a
goodness,
lot- there's a lot-
so much. I need to know more about this. No, but I mean,
the anatomy,
how can we
which goes
even
to
like,
the skeletal system with the bones, and then the plant kingdom.
but then how can we even bring our own consciousness to that, right? And how can we learn from that collective unconscious to really connect in like a wider web of connectivity of life of life itself? How can we connect to that?
Oh.
That's a whole other conversation, but I'm very interested in that and recognizing the ways that we're held within life in general, and connecting that consciousness, the consciousness that we have as humans, to the different kingdoms of consciousness levels. Like that's another story altogether.
Absolutely, yeah, connecting the different, but on the human to human, what separates humans from the other animals is our self-consciousness, our ability, our ego, our I, often to our own detriment and the detriment of this earth, and one another. But so I think that's how I define being human, is being in relation to other self-conscious beings. Because yes, we can be in relation to other conscious beings or other facets of the other kingdoms like we're speaking into, but ultimately, the pains of loneliness remind us that we need to be relating to other humans. That's why part 1 of the Mirroring Manifesto, my first book, is titled Humans as Socio-Spiritual Beings. Not only are we social, but we're spiritual beings, and both of those aspects of our nature have been suppressed by this insane culture we're living in. But yeah, with that being said, it is frigid out.
It is frigid. It is frigid. It is frigid. Yeah, I know.
I'm not getting hungry. You might get frostbite.
Well, yeah. Anyhow, it's been an absolute pleasure to have this conversation with you. I will put all of the links to where people can find you if they're more interested in soul mirroring. And yeah, it was just, what a rad day.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me on. And salute to all the people listening.
God bless America.
Yeah, there you go. God bless America. Yeehaw.
Thank you for being here and for letting this naked conversation move you. If something stirred in your heart or body, or if you felt seen, softened, awakened, or curious, I'd love to know more. Come find me on Instagram and share what touched you. The intention is to make this a living and breathing relationship, not just a performance. And if you're longing to go deeper, to be met in the raw, and to tend to what's ready to unfold in your soul's calling, my one-to-one sessions are an intimate container for that, where we meet soul to soul, body to body, and in devotion to your truth and your light. You'll find details in the show notes. Until next time.